Before we begin, yeah, that's right. There's not going to be any story progress in this episode. I'm just going to be catching up with companions. One companion in particular, the one I haven't caught up yet. So I'm going to be talking to Jolee this whole episode. So if that's not what you're here for, you can go ahead and feel free to skip this episode.
Got something on your mind, dude?
You mentioned something about your adventuring days?
Did I say that? Strange the tricks memory plays on you when you get older.
So you weren't an adventurer?
Didn't I say that my past was my affair? You don't see me poking and prodding you with questions, do you?
But you've already said so much. I'm curious.
I'm not here to satisfy your curiosity. No staring at the old man, that's what the sign says, damn it. And besides, you don't really want to hear about me. We're talking ancient history, probably before you were born. History bores kids. Proven fact.
Yeah? Well, old people love to talk about history. Proven fact.
Oh, fine, fine. Have it your way. Just don't cry about it later. Yes, I was an adventurer. Happy now? I wasn't even done with my Jedi training back then. I had a full head of hair and an eagerness to see absolutely everything. Sound familiar? The Council was never happy with willful, brash Jolee Bindo, you see. Even less so when I began my smuggling career.
You were a smuggler?
Don't look at me like that, damn it. I wasn't always the wrinkled coot I am now, you know. I can still fight, too. So wipe off that smirk I see there. At the time, the Yukata system was interdicted by its own king. He preferred to keep his people starving and poor, all the better to oppress them. The Senate was trying to negotiate a peace, but they were getting nowhere as usual. I decided I wasn't going to wait. I found myself a ship and a partner, and we began smuggling food and supplies to the Yukata citizenry through the blockade.
Where did you get the credits for all the supplies?
Well, we didn't buy all the equipment per se. Some were happy to donate goods. Some we just knew had more than they could use.
So you stole it?
Stole is such a harsh word. They would have donated those goods readily enough if they were compassionate. I considered it a tax on the greedy. We only got caught once. A lone Yukatish frigate shot us down and forced a crash landing. I thought the Force had abandoned me, as I remember.
What happened then?
Well, as it happens, getting shot down turned out to be very fortunate. That day was the day
That was the day you what?
Well, that was the day I met my wife.
Your wife? You were married?
You know another way to get a wife? But yes, that's when I met her. If it's all the same to you, I'd prefer to stop talking now. My mouth is starting to draw flies.
Okay. Give him some time to process that. I think that's enough time.
Got something on your mind, dude?
What do you think of Sunry's verdict?
You defended him well enough. I wish we had time to look into matters more fully, but wishing is only useful for the young and idealistic. What's done is done. The Republic will likely appeal the matter eventually, and he'll be free. I just would like to know if that's best. Sunry was a good man once, and a good friend. I'll miss him. I don't want to talk about this anymore. My jaw aches.
Okay.
Got something on your mind, dude?
Now, just because he doesn't have anything more to say right now doesn't mean that that's all he has to say.
Oh, I get it.
In this situation, what you can do is leave the ship and come back, and oftentimes they'll have more to say. That's how I always manage to get Basila's side quest to work before I leave for Tatooine. So let's see if it worked here.
Got something on your mind, dude?
You mentioned something about your wife before?
I don't want to talk about that.
I don't mean to pry. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. Well, I do. Spit it out already.
Now that's a unique method of getting someone to talk. Thunder about like a bantha in a circuit shop. Does that work for you often? Let me tell you something. Once you've lived as many years as I have, you'll have yourself a long, long list of memories. If you're lucky, most of them will be good. If you're not, some will be bad. If you're really unlucky, some will be so bad you'll never want to be reminded of them again, ever. You'll go far away, to a place that doesn't hold any memories at all. And there you'll be happy just to forget and be forgotten.
Is that why you went to Kashyyyk?
Partly, maybe. I doubt I could ever explain it to you fully, even if I wanted to. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in love? Truly in love, I mean, and not simple infatuation.
Well...
Exactly. You're still at the beginning of your life. There will be women in your life, perhaps many women. But if you're fortunate, you'll find love once. The Jedi, with their damnable sense of over-caution, would tell you love is something to avoid. Thankfully, anyone who's even partially alive knows that's not true.
That's what I've always thought.
Love doesn't lead to the dark side. Passion can lead to rage and fear, and can be controlled. But passion is not the same thing as love. Controlling your passions while being in love, that's what they should teach you to beware. But love itself will save you, not condemn you. Listen to me go on as if I had all the answers. What do I know of love anymore? I'm just a lonely old man who's not even a Jedi.
No, I want to hear what you have to say.
You do you? I wouldn't listen too closely. I'm no authority on anything. I just think that the greatest things in life shouldn't be avoided because they come with a few complications. Love causes pain, certainly. Inevitably, love is going to lead to as much sorrow and regret as it does joy. I suppose there are perfect, eternal loves out there, but I haven't seen any. And how do you deal with the bad part of love is what determines your character. What determines the dark side's hold over you.
You don't think love can work?
I suppose it could. It would take a strong person to make that kind of commitment, I think. Someone with a great sense of self. I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you and the one you love simply aren't meant to be together. The trick is to know when that is. To know when it's time to fight and when it's time to part ways. There I go, waxing philosophical again. Somebody blast me already. Let's get going before I start talking in riddles, damn it.
Well, we're not going to get going. We're going to keep talking to him.
Got something on your mind, do you?
Why did you leave the Jedi?
Who said I left the Jedi?
You did. You said you weren't a Jedi any longer.
Well, technically I was only a Padawan. Not that that makes a difference to most, but as for the Order itself, no, I never left it. It left me.
What do you mean by it left you?
You know what I hate? Well, lots of things really, but I'm old and easily annoyed, but that's besides the point. What I really hate are how most people view the Jedi. Everyone thinks that the Jedi are perfect, that they can do no wrong. They think the Jedi Council is completely incapable of injustice.
Let me guess. You disagree?
Damn right I disagree. The Jedi are just as capable of injustice as anyone else. They may try harder, sure, but sometimes they get it wrong. And I'm not even talking about how some of us fall to the dark side. No, that's plenty indication of our fallibility, but it's something else entirely. No, I'm talking about how more than often not, your average robe-wearing Jedi can try to do the right thing and still be completely wrong.
So the Jedi wronged you in some way, I take it?
No, the Jedi always treated me well. It would be foolish and untrue to say otherwise. That's not what I meant anyway. Come to think of it, I don't have to be clear. Someone my age is entitled to ramble, damn it. But for your sake, I'll try to explain. I'll tell you a little tale about a Jedi master I once knew. Hortath, I think. Or was it Hortoth? I can never get it straight.
Go on, I'll listen.
Where was I then? Oh yes, Master Hortath. He was a kindly old Jedi who meant well, but the most nearsighted thing in the Corps, I swear. He would walk into walls, knock over tables, mistake apprentices for rancor beasts, that sort of thing. And he was too proud to submit to proper treatment. Some used to counsel him in the urge to use the Force, Master Hordath. Allow the Force to see for you. But he refused to believe that his eyes were failing. He simply squinted more and more as the years went on. The other Jedi resignedly passing it off as the amusing quirk of a compassionate old man.
Go on.
So, one day a young Padawan meets Master Hordath in the courtyard and, not knowing of his blindness, asks him for directions to the Council. Quite sure of himself, Hordath gave the lad directions, which happened to lead back outside and away from the Enclave. The Padawan is confused, naturally, and he asks if Master Hordath is sure, and of course Master Hordath says that he is. The Padawan suggests that perhaps he should ask someone else, but the proud Hordath now feels insulted. He tells the Padawan to take the route he prescribed and no other. Rather dejectedly, the Padawan did as he was told, and so ended up leaving the Jedi Order forever. It was decided that the boy's fate was to leave the Order anyway, though whether that was out of respect for Hordath or because the boy went on to something else, well, we'll never know.
So you knew this Master Hordath? Or the Padawan?
No, both of them were from before my time. Well before the Sith Wars, even.
I don't understand.
The tale is about blindness, and I thought the point was clear. At any rate, you think about it. You're the one who asked why the Jedi left me, remember? Now let's get going. My feet are itching for a good run.
He really wants to get going, doesn't he?
Got something on your mind, do you?
What do you know about the Sith?
Bad men. Women too, to be fair.
You must know more than that.
Oh, indeed. They make a fine sandwich also. But don't tell the Jedi Council I said that.
Do you know anything important about the Sith or not?
And just what gave you the impression that I know anything more about the Sith than you do?
You did. You said you fought them.
Oh, that's right. Damn the years of the young. I was expecting you to be your usual inattentive self when I mentioned that. So it's true, yes. I fought plenty of Sith. That was during the time of Exar Kun. Oh, 40 years ago now. Has it been that long?
Who is this Exar Kun?
Exar was a Jedi who was corrupted by ghosts of the old Sith, or so they say. He attempted to conquer the Republic and create a new golden age of the Sith.
And he was killed?
Better to say he was defeated, but essentially yes. The victory did not come easily, however.
Are these the same Sith we're fighting now?
No, of course not. The Sith have come and gone for ages. They were not called the Sith many thousands of years ago, perhaps. But the dark side was always present, without a doubt. Oh, sure, occasionally the light side comes close to vanquishing the dark. But the dark always returns. The fact that Exar Kun was defeated didn't mean the Sith would never return, as they obviously have now. Everyone knows that.
So tell me what you know about the Sith.
A Sith believes he commands the Force, but it is the dark side who commands him. You know this. There is little else I could truly add.
What happened during the war with Exar Kun, then?
That is not a pleasant time to remember. After Exar Kun fell to the dark side, he attempted to recruit other Jedi to his cause. What surprised us, what took us completely unprepared, was how utterly successful he was. Many Jedi joined him and became Sith themselves. Why they did, I will never truly know, but they did. Battle broke out throughout the Order, pupil against master. We fought ourselves.
That must have been difficult.
Yes, more than difficult. Next to impossible. How do you fight against someone you love? I dislike such memories. It leaves a taste in the mouth that... it is a sadness I thought I'd put aside long ago. Ask me about the war some other time, just not now. I would prefer to be by myself for now.
Okay then.
Got something on your mind, do you?
Do you want to talk about the war now?
Not particularly.
No time like the present?
I suppose you're going to nag me until I cough it up, aren't you? Nothing is private anymore, it looks like. There's no escaping it, I guess. So be it. My wife's name was Neyama. She was the Yukatis enforcer who shot me out of the sky, if you remember.
What does your wife have to do with the war?
My wife had plenty to do with the war. Upon meeting her, I knew right away that she was strong in the Force. That's why she was able to shoot me down. Neyama was a marvel of a woman. Fiery, determined, smart. She dragged me to the capital and foiled 3 of my attempts to escape prison. Oh, and that body.
The war?
Well, yes, that. Needless to say, I eventually won her over. That was after I kidnapped her upon being broken out of the Yukatas prison, mind you. But, that's another story entirely. At any rate, I wanted to train her in the Jedi way. The Council refused my request, naturally. I was still a Padawan at the time. I was an experienced Padawan, surely, but not yet ready to be a full Jedi, and certainly not ready to train another, especially not one so old as my wife.
So you disobeyed the council, like I did.
I did. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. The problem with self-righteous folk is they think they're more right than everyone else. I believed in her and trained her in secret. I ignored her willful nature. I loved her too much to see fault in her. And she loved me too. I know she did. At the time, our love was a shared bliss. Better than anything I had known before or since.
So, what happened?
Exar Kun is what happened. Neyama was inspired by Exar's promises of a new golden age. She wanted to join him. She came to me, pleading with me to throw aside what she called the decrepit trappings of the Jedi, to join her in Exar's war.
So, she had fallen to the dark side.
I hadn't thought so, not right then. I was too proud to believe that of her. I had trained her myself. I loved her. I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about all that she was throwing away, to think about what she would become. She would have none of it. Finally, in frustration, she attacked me. She drew her lightsaber and attempted to strike me down. It was a scene being repeated everywhere throughout the galaxy. Pupil against master. In my case, it was a long and terrible battle, but I defeated her.
You killed her?
No. I had her at my mercy, disarmed and defenseless. She looked up at me and she knew. She knew I couldn't do it.
Sounds familiar. I don't think I could have either.
But I should have. Sometimes I convince myself otherwise, but it's no use. She had fallen to the dark side when she raised her saber against me. And I let her go. To my shame, she went on to kill many Jedi during the war, until she herself was slain in the final battle. I grieved for her death, inevitable as it was, even as the Jedi Council put me on trial for my actions once the war was over.
They put you on trial?
I had trained Neyama against their wishes. I had failed to kill her when I had the chance, and she went on to kill others. Not to mention that I had remained a Padawan throughout the war. A formality, perhaps, but with the trial, it had to be decided if I was worthy to become a Jedi at all. It was a travesty, of course. I told you that even the Jedi were capable of great injustices, didn't I?
So that's the source of all this bitterness? They found you guilty?
Not at all. They found me innocent. Even though I deserved every punishment and more, they let me go. Mitigating circumstances, they said. I deserved compassion, they said. They said I had learned wisdom the hard way. For all I had done during the war, they wished to raise me to full Jedi status at long last. That was when the Jedi left me. That was when they failed me.
I don't understand.
No, maybe you don't at that. They may have been able to forgive me. I could never forgive myself.
And you still believe love is worth the risk?
Yes, I do, I suppose. Does that surprise you? It is all so long ago, lost in the winds, I suppose. Nobody cares what an old man believes anymore, do they? Let's continue on with the task at hand. I would prefer to think of the present today.
Okay, so we're almost there.
Got something on your mind, dude?
So when did you go to Kashyyyk?
Oh, that was not until many years later, to tell the truth. I spent quite some time wandering the galaxy.
The Jedi just let you go?
Why wouldn't they? I had refused my promotion to Jedi. I was a Padawan who had left the Order, nothing more. I traveled from one civilized system to the next, never staying long. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. It wasn't as if my travels were pleasant either. There were plenty of folks who distrusted the Jedi after the war. Or worse.
Worse? What could be worse?
If people weren't treating me with suspicion, they were looking at me with greed. I don't know how many thought they could make use of me for their own ends. I got so sick of the treachery and deceit. I left the civilized parts of the galaxy and headed instead for the uncivilized parts.
So that's when you went to Kashyyyk?
Actually, I was on my way somewhere else when I crash-landed on Kashyyyk. The ship I was using was a rust bucket.
You survived a crash landing on Kashyyyk?
I'd taken some damage passing through an unexpected asteroid field, as I recall. But I wasn't completely without some systems. I could still guide her a bit when I crashed. It wasn't what I would call the smoothest landing, especially considering I ended up smack in the depths of the Shadowlands. But I lived.
Why did you just fix your ship and keep going?
I'm no mechanic, and besides, after you plunge nose first in the trunk of a 5-kilometer-high tree, chances are you don't have much ship left.
So you crashed and stayed?
Sure, why not? It seemed like an interesting enough place to spend a couple of decades exploring.
And the Wookiees didn't mind your presence?
Oh, they did at first, oh yes. I can't say I was overly pleased to encounter a group of indigenous giant carpets either, I can assure you of that.
Did you fight them?
No. I was the intruder in their land, after all. They got to trust me well enough after a couple of decades of my aid.
You helped them?
When I could, I would assist a few young ones who would get lost in the Shadowlands or attacked unexpectedly by the wildlife. I must say, for a while there, the Wookiees actually thought I was some kind of benevolent forest god. Amusing, really. I set them straight eventually.
Why didn't you stop the slavery of the Wookiees then?
At first, when the slavers took to hunting down lone Wookiees in the fringes of the Shadowlands, I did my best to divert them. Later, when Shundar made his deal, I didn't see any point. I wasn't here to save them from their own sad follies, after all.
Sounds like you enjoyed being a god.
Nonsense. I had no idea that's what they were thinking for a long time. I just thought they were being friendly neighbors, leaving fruit and such for me. Later, when I started to understand some of their grunting, I realized they would say prayers to the Hairless One before descending into the forest. Hairless One. I used to have plenty of hair, I tell you. At any rate, it took a few bruises, but I set the record straight.
A few bruises?
I traveled to Rookwaro and met with the chieftain in front of everyone. Freyr swatted at me just to see if I was real or not. I was real, and while it was a light swat, Wookiees are terribly strong. I was knocked out cold for a day. The Wookiees all thought it was quite funny.
Wasn't it all a bit primitive for you?
Not really. Kashyyyk is a place you can feel very small in. It felt good to devote my time to helping people and living simply.
You spent 2 decades living like that?
What can I say? I did it all for the Wookiees.
The Wookiees?
The Wookiees. Well, okay, maybe I needed some time on a quiet and remote planet, but if you ever need a friend, an incredibly strong hairball isn't a bad call.
You are a very strange old man.
Why, thank you. You're not so bad yourself, all things considered. At any rate, we should be moving along, don't you think? If you sat around this long in the Shadowlands, attack would eat you.
Alright, I think we're almost to the meat of the subject. Or, not. I think we're almost to the end of this plotline. I think we're about to find out why he came.
Got something on your mind, do you?
So, if you like Kashyyyk so much, why did you want to leave?
Are we back to that again?
I find it hard to believe you left the Wookiees just for some adventure.
What's the best way for me to approach this? Perhaps it's time for a little story.
Oh no, not another story.
You just keep quiet there, you. I've had to put up with all your busybody questions, haven't I? Well, now you'll listen to a story, damn it! Now, where was I? Oh, yes, the story. You almost made me forget about it. Nice try, but I'm not that old just yet. Now then, a young man sees a terribly venomous snake in his small village. Nervous, he watches the snake carefully until it leaves. The young man follows the snake into the forest. He clears the branches out of its path and helps it over obstacles. He even works to keep it fed.
This is a very long story.
Shush! Many nights pass, and still the young man continues to follow the snake. He even follows it into the sands of the great desert. In the desert, the snake eventually grows hungry. It turns and bites the young man, its poison quickly working its way into his system. Finally, curious, the snake looks at the boy as he lays dying and asks, "Why were you foolish enough to follow me all the way out into the desert?" The boy looks back and replies, "Did I follow you? I thought I was leading you away from everyone else." And then he died.
Am I supposed to be the snake?
Well, now, that's what I wanted to see for myself.
That's a long way to come just to risk dying.
I've come a long way as it is, and I'm going to die anyway, so that doesn't bother me in the least. I've told you before that you have a destiny before you. This does not mean, however, that your future is already written. They are not the same thing. You have the choice of which direction you take your destiny in. More than engine-sucking Andor, certainly, but even he had a choice. So far, you've chosen to take the lighter path. Can you stay that course, even through the challenges ahead? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not here to judge you or tell you which path to take. I'm here ready to offer you my help, should you ask for it. I do that because I think it's important. More important than remaining in my home and pretending the galaxy doesn't exist. That's why I'm here.
Thank you, Jolee. I'm glad you came.
I'm rather glad I came too, really. You're a fine young lad. I hope things turn out well for you. Now then, I've chatted enough for one lifetime. Let's get this show on the road, shall we?
Yes, I think... Excuse me. I think it's time that we do. So, with that question of why Jolee wanted to come with us, finally after all this time answered, I'm going to leave this off here, and next time, for real this time, we're going to be taking the fight straight to Malik. See you guys then.